Alright guys, welcome to my Protoss vs Protoss tutorial, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Protoss vs Protoss matchup and some of the basic concepts involved in that matchup, and I'll probably touch on just some of the general basic concepts in StarCraft as well. So as you can see there, what I tried to do with my probes as they first came out is I make a probe in the Nexus first. It's just slightly more efficient, gets you slightly more minerals, and then I send all 4 probes to a mineral patch at once, and then as they're moving I select individual probes out of those and send them to other patches. That way, if I do that perfectly, each probe starts mining at a different patch at the same time, so you get more minerals just a little faster. I mean, do you really need to do it? Probably not. Can it maybe be helpful? Shave off a second or two here? Perhaps. So then you see here at 8, I'm going to build a pylon, and 8 is the best time to build your first pylon, because any earlier than that, and you have to cut probes to do it, and any later than that, and you'll be forced to stop probe production because you'll be what's called supply blocked, meaning that you don't have enough food, which you see in the top right hand corner, to continue to build probes. And StarCraft is really a game of economy, and you always want to have the strongest possible economy. You always want to be making workers all the time, this kind of thing. So you see I'm sending out a scout here, and I'm going to build my next gateway on 10, and it's on 10 because 10 is the soonest I can get it without having to stop probe production. And getting it on 10 is also safe to defend pretty much any rush. Because, I mean, even if the other person builds their gateway on like 5 or something, which would be stupid because they'd waste all their economy to do it, so you'd win if you defend it. And if they build it on 5, you're going to be building yours maybe 20 seconds later, and it's going to take their Zealot longer than 20 seconds to walk up to where you are. So by building your gateway on 10, you're totally safe, because even their gateway on 5 doesn't get them units in your base before you have units out to defend. So it's completely safe. And then you see I take my gas on 11, and then the next thing I'll do is, since it's Protoss vs Protoss, I'll get a Zealot first, because if the other guy is rushing Zealots, you're going to need those to defend. And then as soon as the gas is done, you put 3 on gas. 3 is how much most geysers take to be mined efficiently. Any more, you just have excess probes. Next thing I'll do is build a pylon. So the standard build for Protoss vs Protoss is Zealot, Core, Zealot, meaning I'll build 1 Zealot, and then I'll build my cybernetics core, and then I'll build the second Zealot while the core is building, and then I'll switch to Dragoons. And the reason we go to Dragoons is because they can kill Zealots. Because A, Dragoons are faster, and B, they're ranged. If you build only Zealots and they build Dragoons, they can just come up to your ramp or whatever, they can come into your base, and they can kite your Zealots, and they just walk back, shoot, and then before you can even hit them, they just walk back again. So your Zealots can't damage their Goons, so you have to start off with Goons, the abbreviation for Dragoons. You have to start off with Goons initially. Now I'm scouting here, I'm seeing that they're doing a 2-gate Zealot rush. You see this sometimes in PvP, it's really not that great, but as the opponent playing against it, you need to get a second gateway first. What I like to do in Protoss vs Protoss is go gateway, cybercore, robotics facility, gateway. So gate, cyber, robo, gate. But because I'm seeing this rush, I need 2 gates, because even if I have 1 or 2 Dragoons out, yeah, I can kill all their Zealots, but the problem is I can't deal with them all at once quick enough. So they could like send 3 or 4 Zealots to occupy my Dragoons, and then send 2 or 3 Zealots into my mineral line, and while I'm fighting their Zealots with my 1 or 2 Dragoons, they're going to kill all my probes, so I'm going to have no economy left. I'll want to run out of reinforcements, and I'll lose. So at this point I'm just focusing on getting units out because I need to defend this rush. The reason why this 2-gate isn't that great is it leaves you with no tech, so the second I get out a few Dragoons and my first Reaver, they're in pretty big trouble. You know, the only way they can maybe live is to do some massive all-in with a bunch of gates off 1 base, but then if I just expand and play safe, I'll be just absurdly far ahead and win easily in the mid-game. So I'm just building Dragoons, and I'm going to keep constant Dragoon production because I need as many units as possible, and then when I get the chance I'm going to put down my Robotics Facility. And you really want that Robotics Facility, A, because of observers, which are obviously amazing scouts because they're cloaked, and they're very important because they let you see things like a DT rush. If your opponent rushes DTs and you don't have observers, you're just going to lose the game. And also, one of the most common ways to play PvP, pretty standard, I'd say 80% of the PvPs will be some variation of Goon Reaver, because, as I've said earlier, Protosses are going to make Dragoons first, and Dragoons tend to be kind of clumpy and stick together. And then the way their AI pass, Reavers shoot little scarabs that do like 100 damage, but then they have a lot of splash damage, a lot of radial damage. So they're absolutely devastating against these Dragoons that get all clumped up and clustered because their pathing and AI is so bad. So that's how that works. So usually you want to go Goon Reaver, which is what I'm doing. I'm showing you the build 2-gate Goon Reaver, although this is slightly modified. Usually I'd go Gate, Robotics Facility, Gateway, but because of the 2-gate I had to go Gate, Gate, Robo. And what I'll usually do is once the Robotics Facility finishes, I get a Shuttle, and then while that Shuttle is building, I'm making my Observatory. Once the Shuttle finishes, I get an Observer, and right as that Observer starts, I put down a Robotics Support Bay, and as soon as the Observer finishes, I start making a Reaver. And the Reaver's the priority. If you have to stop Dragoons to get out the Reaver for like 10 seconds because you need the money, that's okay. And usually the way this build would go, just to so you know the standard build, it is... Alright, so here you can see how I fight off the 2-gate. I've got 2 Zealots on the ramp, so they can't really get up the ramp. This is advantageous for me because they're attacking with 2 Zealots at a time, and I'm shooting with 5 Dragoons. And then you can see here, I'm just going to micro back, and I'm just going to keep walking back, shooting, walking back. They might get off one hit with 1 or 2 Zealots, but at the same time I've got most of my Dragoons shooting, and I just keep backing up so I'm taking very little damage. And then another thing you can do is you can pull some probes just to screw up the Zealot pathing. So I just grab a few probes to kind of get in there and block the way, and I just keep microing around, not letting the Zealots get off many hits. And now I'm massively ahead. And to be honest, I could counterattack right now and win, because they got 0 kills, and I just killed like 10 of their Zealots. But for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to counterattack, just so you can see how the mid and late game sort of play out. And so what I'm doing, for the standard build, what it is, it's a gateway on 10, gas on 11 or 12, kind of depends, whatever you prefer, it doesn't really make a difference. And then you'll get your Zealot as soon as the first gateway finishes, and then as soon as you make that Zealot, you'll make a Pylon on 16, and then after that, you'll make, I lost my train of thought, you'll make a second Zealot as soon as you can, and then you'll make your Dragoon, and then at about 30 supply, you will add your Robotics Facility, and then about 33 supply, pretty much right after you start your Robotics Facility, you'll add your second Gateway. And then you just keep making Dragoons, and then you make Shuttle, Observer, Reaver, Reaver. And then from there, you can proceed to attack, or if you see your opponent is expanding or going for a more aggressive attack, you can expand yourself and play defensively and take advantage of the defender's advantage. And what I'm talking about with defender's advantage is when you're defensive, you can A, force them to come through your tight choke, which makes them clump more, which makes your Reavers more effective, and they have to attack. You can see right here is an example of it. I'm going to set up a good arc, and their units are going to come in all clumped up, and the way I'm positioned in that slight arc, all my Dragoons, if they were to attack me, can pretty much shoot at once right away, whereas all their units are going to be stumbling over the bridges out of position, and so they're not going to be able to attack with their entire force right away, which gives me a pretty significant defender's advantage. So if you see them doing something really aggressive, like if you scouted that they had 3-gate Goon Reaver or something, which is a semi-all-in build, all-in meaning that if the build fails, you probably lose, you can just expand and play defensively, and then you'll have a big advantage because your expansion will be earlier. And 2-gate Goon Reaver playing defensively can pretty easily defend 3-gate Goon Reaver in most situations. And then you can see here, as soon as I start my second Reaver, I'm going to go ahead and get my expansion. And this is a pretty good concept for StarCraft in general, is to expand while attacking, because if you do that, your opponent's pretty busy defending your attack, and he doesn't really have the ability to try and stop or prevent your expansion. So I'm going to expand right here as I get ready to move out. You can see my first Reaver's out. I'm scouting with my Observer. I see they've expanded, and so this means that my attack's going to have a pretty good chance of success. And I'm just going to take a look, see what they have in their base. But I do see there's already 2 gateways out in their natural. And as I look in, I see a lot more gateways. So honestly, in this situation, this is a situation where it's probably better to just sit back and defend. But I'm going to attack so I can show you guys how to micro. Because they have so many gateways, because they have so many gateways, there's a chance they can defend my attack. But at the same time, what I also know is that because they have all these gateways, to get them this fast, they cut a lot of probes, which means I'm significantly ahead in economy. So if I just defend, once again, my superior economy, I'm just going to have more units than them 2 minutes from now. But I'm going to go ahead and attack so I can show you guys the Reaver micro. And this is a pretty standard attack, 2-gate Goon Reaver. If Protoss expands before you and you micro well, you've got a pretty good chance of killing them outright, so it's a powerful build. It gets you a slow expansion, so if you miss micro your attack or don't do significant damage, you will be pretty far behind against most expand builds. But this attack has a lot of potential because when you show up to their base, they're not going to have 2 Reavers. They could have more Dragoons than you, but the Reavers more than make up for it. So it really comes down to how well you can micro the Reavers. So I'm going to get in position, and then, as you can see here, I'm going to try to come and get into as good a formation as possible before attacking. I don't want to attack in one big cluster, so I kind of try to bring them down in a line and then attack. I don't do it perfectly. And then, as you can see here, I'm using the shuttle with the Reaver, and what I do is I fly the shuttle around, and if I see a Reaver getting shot at, I right-click the Reaver. I have the shuttle selected, and I right-click the Reaver with the shuttle, which makes the Reaver pick up into the shuttle, and then I drop it back out of harm's way, which takes the auto-targeting off the Reaver, and in this way I keep my Reavers alive for much longer to do damage. Because if they go right in and they snipe your Reaver, you're going to lose the battle, like if it gets sniped right at the beginning. So you use the shuttle to keep it alive, and you just kind of fly around, and at the moment they start targeting it, you can just pick it up, and that switches the targeting. So, and now I see I'm losing the battle, so I know I need to get the Reavers out of there. Now, I lost that battle, but I killed almost all their stuff, so even though I wasn't able to kill them, I guess you could say I didn't really lose the battle, because I was able to kill all their stuff. So now I'm at an advantage in this game, maybe not a significant one, but I know I have a stronger economy than them, because they cut probes to get those gates so fast. So they're not really going to be able to counterattack or do anything serious. I don't know what these guys were doing, following me, I guess. So, at this point, I know I've got a pretty good advantage, so I'm going to add a gateway or two, and I'll probably just go ahead and expand to cement my advantage. And that's one of the things to do. If you get an advantage, one of the best things to do is just go expand, because that only cements your advantage. Because the reason why expansions are good is A, they give you more gas, which is pretty useful because a lot of your tech units and spellcasters are gas heavy. And secondly, they open access to more mineral patches. Mineral patches get mined optimally at about 3 probes per patch, so once you get beyond like 25 probes, you need another base to really see any efficient mining. And also, since I still have this shuttle, I can go down and harass. This is pretty good defense because there's a Goon right there, but I decided to kill this, but he'll have his army back in time, so I have to run away. So you can see I just pick them up with the shuttle, fire off a scarab, and leave. But that's a pretty good thing to do with your shuttle, is just go down there and harass if you see opportunities and kill some workers.